What's up, my know-it-alls? So today we're going to talk about, got some Ghostbuster news. Also going to look, of course, at the Oscar snubs. We're also going to talk a little bit about Daredevil, Born Again, because there's some updates there. Also looking at all this news surrounding Doctor Who, the new season coming up very, very soon in May. What does it mean? What are we looking forward to? And all the dish about the Millie Gibson situation. So all that and more starts right now. What's up, my know-it-alls?
Hello.
Welcome back. We're so excited. So I love this. I love doing this. I'm having so much fun getting all these things together. So the first thing that I want to talk about, I know that we've got so many things happening in the entertainment industry. And I tell you what, the closer we get to, as we're getting all the bugs worked out in this thing, I'm noticing more and more, there's a lot of news that happens.
Yeah.
And it's
there's a lot to keep up with.
Absolutely. And it's getting to a place where I'm like, you know what, we may, and we're gonna keep going hard as we can through the first quarter probably this year, and see what it looks like eventually to possibly do a daily show.
I looked at our calendar, and between movies and TV shows,
Lots.
There's a lot going on. A couple months. February and March seem to be the busiest, like right now for some reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll have summer to have to worry about all the movies too.
No, for sure. But
speaking of movies,
oh my gosh! So the Oscars made their announcements, and if you got a chance to see, we did a review show. Sorry, my phone is vibrating in my pocket, and I want to make sure it's not. No, it's okay. I take it out. So if you watched we did the road to the Oscars. We talked about the Oscar nominations. We did the recap after everybody was announcing it. And the one thing that I wanted to really take an opportunity to do is take a look at one particular quote-unquote snub. Of course, I'm talking about Barbie. Yeah. So it's so funny. There was actually a quote. It's over here if you want to take if you wanted to glance over at that one and get a second to read that. I feel like it's super important to let's talk for a second about the fact that the plot of Barbie is pretty much playing out in real life.
It really is.
Ryan Gosling got an award for the quote. Did you want to read that?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so the quote that I'm talking about came from Greg Castanis on Twitter or X, whatever. It says, no Oscar nomination for Greta Gerwig, no Oscar nomination for Margot Robbie. Ryan Gosling gets an Oscar nomination. This is actually the whole plot of the film, Barbie. So Ryan Gosling came out himself with a statement after his announcement and whatnot. And what he said was, I'm extremely honored to be nominated by my colleagues alongside such remarkable artists in a year of so many great films. And I never thought I'd be saying this, but I'm also incredibly honored and proud that it's for portraying a plastic doll named Ken. But there is no Ken without Barbie, and there is no Barbie movie without Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie, the two people most responsible for this history-making, globally celebrated film. No recognition would be possible for anyone on the film without their talent, grit, and genius. To say that I'm disappointed that they are not nominated in their respective categories would be an understatement. Against all odds, with nothing but a couple of soulless, scantily clad, and thankfully crotchless dolls, they made us laugh. They broke our hearts, they pushed the culture, and they made history. Their work should be recognized along with the other very deserving nominees. Having said that, I'm so happy for America Ferrera and the other incredible artists who contributed their talents to making this such a groundbreaking film. Ryan Gosling from Barbie. So, what do you think? What's your take or thought?
Well, first of all, I can hear the frustration in his voice.
Yeah.
When you read this,
absolutely, no,
and
for sure.
I think when we talked about it, it was upsetting that they didn't get the nominees, and they should have. I from what I understand, this quote could hurt him.
I mean, I don't know how really. Maybe
I don't know. That's why
at the end of the day, I feel like
he hurt him, or
how do you hurt him when
he's
literally
like sticking up for?
But that's like Hollywood's thing. I mean, if it hurts him, then you want to sit here and say, Hollywood, what are you doing?
Right.
What double standard are you holding here? And people would argue, well, it's always been that way, and movies have always been a certain blah blah blah, and it may or may not be true. And currently, I don't know, man. All I know is it's this idea that, one, I liked the nominations. I thought this was one of the most open. it really does consistently boil down to male versus female. I know we have a story later on in the run about some movies getting canceled and whatnot, like Sofia Coppola's and some other things, and Halle Berry's, and people are arguing, well, if it was men, they wouldn't have got canceled. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that I see what feels like a culture shift that needs to be more closely looked at, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, right on. All right, well, there you go. Now you know. If knowing's half the battle, you have to be a know-it-all yourself. Do me a favor, comment below. Let me know what you think of the Barbie situation and the snub thereof, or the snub heard round the world, if you will. But let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. So, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I'm excited.
Wait.
What's up?
He came busted into the room when he found this out. Just to let you guys know.
No, I totally did.
Went from one part of the house all the way down to the next just to run to tell me this.
I have loved the Ghostbusters movies forever. I would argue to say next to The Fifth Element, which is the movie I've watched the most. Ghostbusters is probably the second movie I watched the most because I watched it all growing up constantly. I know the dialogue. Anyway, I loved watching them, and then you saw, and I loved Afterlife. That did a great job.
Afterlife was wonderful.
I even enjoyed, for all its problems, and I enjoyed the quote unquote female driven one that came out from Paul Feig and them. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. And so, because I'm a Ghostbusters fan, period. I love the TV shows, the cartoons rather. Grew up with all that stuff. So when I found out the website Giant Freaking Robot reported that Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is going to see the return of a minor, they called it villain, Walter Peck. Bro, Walter Peck's coming back. Okay, that's the part that was played by William Atherton.
Okay, first of all, that actor, William Atherton, plays an amazing slimeball character.
He does great.
He does a really good job with
Real
that.
Genius was awesome. He was a great bad guy in that. Ghostbusters, of course. I mean, the guy's he's a staple of the genre and the time. And when I read this, I immediately was like, I ran upstairs. I was like, oh my gosh, this and that. And I said, it's so funny. I'm going to read the quote from them, from them, which it says, it's sorry, yeah.
That's a great picture of him.
Mr. Pecker returns in the new Ghostbusters movie. It says, in the first film, Peck learns the hard way that the Ghostbusters are legitimate when he unleashes a spectral apocalypse on New York by shutting down the group's containment unit. That means there's a chance the character will have a friendlier relationship with the team, new and old, in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. This would be in line with Peck's appearance in IDW's non-canonical Ghostbusters comics. In these stories, he helps the local government oversee the Ghostbusters, acknowledging that they are both legitimate and necessary, but seeing them as a group that still needs tight regulation. They become a municipality.
They become the police of ghosts.
Yeah.
How cool is that job?
Oh my God. So much. No, for real. I like it because they literally, it's like you have you call 911. Is someone breaking in your house? No. Did someone break a leg? No. What? We have ghosts. Well, then call the Ghostbusters. And I dug that whole idea. I thought it was really cool. The concept behind it.
I really hope that's the direction they're gonna go, and
it would be smart. It would be super smart. It's right in front of you. As opportunity.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I'm hoping they get the inspiration from that.
The other thing I loved too, I don't know if you caught it, that on some of the new, I know Empire put out some new photographs. It looks like we're gonna get Janine in a Ghostbusters uniform.
I saw that for Ice.
Yes.
I saw that, and there's other people that.
Frozen Empire.
Thank you.
Yeah. No.
I've written it so many times. You think I'd have it memorized?
I'm a big fan of the Ghostbusters franchise, and I love that now all of a sudden we're getting all this glut of genuine canonical Ghostbusters stuff.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, if you're a fan of the Paul Feig Ghostbusters one that had quote the Lady Ghostbusters, if you will, which I don't mean to ever detract.
No.
There was a comic book that made them canon. Ghostbusters has a multiverse. In this comic book, it was the cartoon universe, so it was all the ones from the cartoon. Egon had blonde curly hair, remember, with the red glasses, and they all had colored outfits. And because a ghost messes with them, and they have to go, so they go into the ghost realm, only to find out that they when they come out, they're in the movie Ghostbuster world. And it's like they had to figure, but they didn't show them as good. They're all drawn, it's all comic book drawn. But the point is, so then as they're coming back, they briefly poked their head into the female Ghostbusters world. And it's so, I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So again, if you're a big Ghostbusters fan, there is out there, somewhere in the multiverse, there are Ghostbusters a go-go of all kinds that you can enjoy. Okay, so some people were extreme Ghostbusters fans and everything else, but do you have any other Ghostbuster thoughts?
No, I just think it's really cool.
Oh, I'm saying.
Like this is ridiculous.
No, hands down.
I can't. Annie Potts, first of all, I just love the fact that she has just stuck with this.
Annie Potts is amazing.
Like, first of all, I love her anyway, but seriously, that we're going to see her in a Ghostbusters
We're going to
uniform,
see
and I am
young Sheldon's grandma, young Sheldon's Meemaw. I'm sorry. Before she was young Sheldon's Meemaw, she was Janine Melnitz. So okay.
And wasn't she? What was the TV show she was on? Was it Designing Women?
Designing Women.
I love her. I mean,
totally. Annie Potts is a treasure.
Amazing. Yeah,
she's a treasure. I believe honestly, I feel like she's holding the torch hardcore for like the likes of Betty White and people like that. In that she's just going to travel through Hollywood and you'll always be that face you recognize and go, I know her from that thing. Anyway. All right, so comment below. Let us know what you guys thought about the Ghostbusters and the idea that Walter Peck is coming back. I know I'm super excited for that, so we'll talk again about it. Meanwhile, let's flip to the next topic. Doctor Who! I'm so excited. We're going to be doing a Doctor Who review as the series starts. They finally got they pinned down a time period, which is this May. We're going to get season 1 of what we are calling Doctor Who 2023. I say Doctor Who 2023 because when Russell Davies rebooted the series in 2005, it became known as Doctor Who 2005, which is the modern iteration. Well, now that they have they're moving into another phase in their life and whatever. Now it's being designated as season, not series. That's a thing after they partnered up with Disney. Those of you who don't like them partnering up with Disney, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. But mark your calendars and set your TARDIS coordinates because it looks like May 2024 is definitely going to be when it happens. They return to screens. But I want to look at what can we expect from the. What are we going to see? Who's going to be there? Who is going to be there? So let's take a quick look. For sure. Sorry, I think I skipped one. Forgive me. That's on me. We'll come back to that one. So we look like as you go into the moving forward, we're clearly going to get Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. We're going to get Millie Gibson, who is still, at least during this season, is still going to be Ruby Sunday. We're also introducing Jinx Monsoon, who's a drag queen who's won several seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, okay.
And but is going to be playing an unnamed villain of some sort. Clearly looks diabolical. We're also getting Jonathan Groff, who
I'm so excited.
Right? No, for sure. No, I absolutely am too. I love me some Jonathan Groff. The man's amazing. If you watch Hamilton in any way, shape, or form, he's brilliant, and I can't wait to see him. I know I have my own prediction who I think is going to be. And
I loved your prediction, by the way.
We'll talk about that at the end once we kind of finish recapping or we're going over who all is going to be there. Indira Varma is returning. Indira Varma, for those of you who don't remember, Indira Varma she was on Torchwood briefly during season 1. Mm-hmm. She played a character who ended up dying, and then they used the glove to bring her back. So, but of course, Peter Capaldi was in David Tennant's and then became the Doctor himself. So these things, it's whatever.
It happens.
Absolutely. So, so she's going to be in the thing, and then we have Bonnie Langford, who's going to reprise her role as Melanie, which is great. Also have the new casting announcements that came out, which is Lenny Rush. Lenny Rush is he's the youngest winner of a BAFTA recently. He's going to be playing a very interesting character that is. It's funny in the promotional pictures. In the promotional pictures, he's riding like he's a smaller person. He's riding it's like a mini Segway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, right on, bro, just own it. And he's doing it's amazing. And then, of course, there's some other characters or other people going to be joining up with the whole thing. We have Newland Bernard, and of course, Gemma Redgrave is coming back as Kate Lethbridge-Stewart. We're going to see Yasmin Finney return as Rose Noble.
I am so excited to hear that.
Same.
I am so excited to hear that.
I'm excited, and I can't wait. I can't wait for her and the Doctor / Ncudi's Doctor to run into each other. I'm half wondering if we're going to even get any kind of peek from David Tennant during when that exchange happens. I say that because if you remember, there was that episode in Donna's first season when they went back, and it was Unit called them back, and we got Martha briefly.
That's right.
So I don't see why you couldn't. I feel like having an episode where there's 2 doctors raises the stakes. meaning
That's
it's
true, yeah.
you can have bigger villains, you can have more villains, you have something that really pushes because you have two doctors having to solve the problem, whatever the problem is.
Right.
So, and of course we're going to be getting, of course we're going to get the entire Sunday brunch, if you will. We're going to get Michelle Greenwich coming back as Carla Sunday, which is Ruby's adopted mom, and of course Cherry Sunday, played by Angela Winter, and of course the enigmatic Anita Dobson is going to come back as Mrs. Flood. We do not know the story behind Mrs. Flood just yet, but we will. I believe firmly. So, a lot of fun stuff coming. What's up?
What if there was like, what if she that's how we no longer have her?
Interesting. Well, here's the thing. Here's what I was thinking. So, okay, quick guess.
Sorry, we just went real silent on y'all.
No. Because my brain's working. So here's a quick guess. I'm thinking, what if it turns out, because now they've done the statues blink, the whole like weeping angels, and they send Rory and Amy back in the past. But what if they end up sending Ruby back, and that's how we lose her, and that's how she ends up becoming Mrs. Flood? Because she goes back, because they send her back and she has to age and stay right there, and they know that he can't do anything to save her. She has to exist and has to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a possibility. Now, mind you, it feels like, and we've gotten, because I don't know, we didn't get much of the Weeping Angels during the 13th season, Jodie's run, and I think they were mentioned briefly in Peter Capaldi's, but I don't think you got a major in that either.
No.
So we haven't seen him significantly as a major
a
enemy in a long time. So I'm down for that. I'm down for that idea, if nothing else. The story that I am going to back up to that other previous story. So the other story, so there you go, now you know, and if knowing's half the battle, you halfway to know it all yourself. Comment below, let me know what you think of the Doctor Who news and information, but we are going to move on to the next piece of this, which is the information that the Mirror brought out. So the Mirror is considered a British tabloid. It's almost like the National Enquirer here in the U.S., that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be respected, or but it means that you take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, it has already been confirmed. But I don't like the way they're presenting it, and by that I mean, we know nothing about why Millie Gibson's leaving. She's leaving at the end of season 1. She's going to have a couple of spotty moments during season 2. For the most part, she's done as his companion. So she's a one and done, in and out, which, by the way, we've had tons of in the past. So to pretend and act like it's a huge, horrible thing that she's not, that it's happening, we don't need to, I don't think you should worry.
How long did we have Martha for?
Martha, 1 season.
Okay.
One season and a couple spotty episodes here and there.
I was gonna say and then we saw her throughout. Then okay.
Yeah,
I was say it was. I didn't recall her being around for 2 seasons.
No.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
not at all.
It was a short run for her.
Right, and but what I don't like is the way that some of the tabloids are sitting here marking it's like she's outed, she's gone, she's been dropped, and all this other verbiage that it sounds real aggressive. But you got to sell tabloids, and you got to have headlines and whatnot, and have people sitting there in the queue at the supermarket ready to, get their whatever, reading it, going, oh, I can't believe it, it's crazy. Look, they just dropped Millie out of the whole bin. And it's like, dude, they switch companions all the time. So I feel like
she's young too.
Absolutely, and not to mention the fact that if you want to speculate at any, she's extraordinarily talented, and she's got Hollywood written all over her.
Yeah, she does. She really does.
Just look at the images from some of the episodes that are coming out. There's one that looks almost like it's a dead-on Bridgerton knockoff. The one with Jonathan Groff. And she looks amazing. She's wearing this very Victorian era gold
she's
dress.
So young. She's
brilliant.
She's got other things that she's doing. I don't think she was kicked off the show.
No, and I don't either. And I think that's bad. I don't say bad writing, but I think it's poor journalism to sit here and try to infer that. It's clickbait.
I was just getting ready to say it's clickbait, but.
Yeah. So the whole idea behind kind of that whole Millie Gibson leaving thing is they're going to be introducing the character, or not the character, but they're going to be introducing what's her name? I have it right here. Companion Millie Gibson's dropping from the series.
Varada.
Specifically, Doctor Who companion Millie Gibson's being dropped from the BBC sci-fi show and is going to be replaced by Judy Gatwa's second series by actress Varada Sethu. The decision by showrunner Russell T Davies to write out the former Coronation Street star who plays Orphan Ruby Sunday was made last year after filming on her first run ended. The shock twist, there it is, that language, will come as a surprise to fans who only watched her on-screen debut in the festive episode last month. Now Millie, 19, will not appear in the 2024 Christmas special later this year, and will make only a handful of appearances across Chudy's second series as the Doctor during 2025. The 8 episodes she was filmed already will air from May, the BBC has announced. After that, it will not be Millie flanking him on his time travels in the TARDIS, but new companion Varada, who has already started filming in the studios in Cardiff. So yeah, and Varada Sethu, those of you who are playing at home, she played one of the rebel officers in who was helping in Andor.
In Andor, yeah.
Yeah, she's really talented, and I love the idea of her coming back.
Yeah.
Not coming back, but coming to our screens. I'm excited for it.
I liked her in Andor. I think she'll do a great job.
Yeah. So backing up now. So there you go. Now you know. If nobody's at the battle, you have it being all yourself. Let me know what you thought about all the Doctor Who news. If you have any other thoughts, I would totally love to hear about it. Please be kind in the comments. Let's not insult anybody in terms of whether or not how Millie's leaving or why she's leaving. Again, those things happen all the time. And I don't think it's worth.
Makes me sad. Don't get me wrong that she's leaving.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so that being all said, let's move on backward to the previous story, which is Daredevil Born Again is no longer going to be 18 episodes. What? Specifically, the story goes, Daredevil was in mid-production in New York when the writers and actors strike forced it to pause. Over the summer, when Marvel execs reviewed the footage, they had a change of creative heart and decided to go into a new direction. Writer Dario Scardapane, who worked on Netflix's Marvel show, The Punisher, and the directed team of Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who helmed episodes of Season 2 of Loki, were brought in to change the direction of the series. All that, by the way, comes from The Hollywood Reporter. I'm of the mindset these are all good things.
Me too, 100%.
I feel like anytime you take an opportunity to stop and say, whoa, let's pump the brakes.
Let's look at this for a second.
Let's bring in a showrunner. Now, I was much like many of the pundits out there who have reported it. I liked the idea of having longer seasons. Mm-hmm. It feels more like quote unquote old school TV.
It does.
But at the same time, Netflix didn't change that. I think Netflix was either 12 or 13 episodes, and it's not that crazy for us to get 12 or 13. I'm okay with 12 to 13 episodes.
I still think that's actually a lot more than we know because we get 5, 6, 8. The most sometimes we see is 10.
Right.
I think those are more regular, but to have 12, I'm down. We were excited because Monarch was so long.
Right.
So
because you knew you were going to get a solid individualized story. I say individualized story because I feel like too many of the Marvel projects have felt like they took a 2.5 or 3 hour style movie and tried to break it up. They bloated it, they filled it. You got 35-minute episodes, but then you had a 46-minute episode, whatever. It felt very Quibi-like, if you know what if you get that, if you know, you know. And which is that you take a long thing and chop it up. When bringing in showrunners from previous, you're saying, okay, we want to make sure every episode feels like a part of but it's a story beat unto itself.
Right.
And every episode has a plot, has its own mini arc of whatever and things going on. And I'm like, that's what it needs to be.
I agree.
Absolutely what it needs to be. So
I mean, I can't wait.
No, for sure.
To be honest with you.
Absolutely. So there you go. Now you know. And nice have the battle. You have to be a know-it-all yourself. Comment below. Tell me what you think of Daredevil Born Again being 13 episodes. Oh, and what about the news that they're bringing back so many of the creative team from the Netflix ones? To me,
I think
this all bodes well.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
I agree. No, because they're bringing back the people from that film. You know.
Absolutely.
They need to.
I think so. I think they absolutely.
Because I kind of feel like they could really blow this. Like we have. We've lost so much faith. We've lost so much faith in Marvel as it is, and I'm glad they're taking the step back to say, "Hey, let's talk to the people that originally did this because we're doing something wrong." And for them to see that, I think is wonderful. I
agree. No, I absolutely agree with that. So yeah, again, please comment below. Let us know what you think. Those are the main things we want to talk about. Next, we're going into a segment we like to call headlines. The headlines are literally that. They're short, quick, they're punchy. It's news that's out there, but we don't know a whole lot about just yet. It's stuff that's growing and developing, and all things. Each of these may eventually, down the road, become a bigger story that we want to follow and focus on. But for right now, they're strictly the headlines. So let's get into them. Very first headline that we're going to look at. Come on, Star Trek people. Okay?
It's so close we could taste it.
It really is. Den of Geek is reporting Star Trek Picard showrunner Terry Matalas. He says pretty much if he ever gets a chance to make Star Trek Legacy, he'll catch on. He's going to check in on some old enemies of the Federation, and so that brings us immediately to.
Whoa.
Sorry, that brings us immediately to. Here we go. During the panel reuniting the cast of Picard season 3, Jonathan Delarco and Dr. Kayla Lacovino asked Matalas about his ideas for Star Trek Legacy. Matalas did let a few potential story ideas slip, and one of them is about Alexander. You think what's the Klingon Empire like in the early 25th century? Asked Matalas. Last time they were an allegory to the Russians, kind of, and now what would they be up to, and what does that mean for Worf, and what does that mean for Alexander? So if you haven't watched too much Star Trek, you don't appreciate who Alexander was. In an era where Worf was the first Klingon to be actually standing his own ground, Worf was the only Klingon to join Starfleet officially as an officer at the time. Later on, you got B'Elanna Torres, and you have others obviously now throughout the future. But at the time, Worf was it. So you had this Klingon warrior having to learn how to not just not be a warrior, but how to war differently.
Right.
And he had to approach exploration like he does.
Yeah.
And it's funny, in the early seasons, there was a constantly where, Worf would say, I blah, 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 and Picard would be like, but you're not to this, you're a Starfleet officer, and the whole thing. And you got to see the evolution. He was one of my favorite characters growing up. My persona, when I was part of the Star Trek fan club, was a Klingon because of Worf. Had a sash, the whole 9 yards. So, and then, as the character evolved, you start getting this really cool, he's growing, he grows, and then poof, a kid he never knew existed happens. And you're like, what? And now and then in the same episode, the child's mother is killed doing a Klingon thing and the whole bit. That's where, for those of you who play at home, that's where you get that classic, the Klingons standing out, screaming into the sky and the whole bit. And okay, it's a whole thing. And then now you have Worf who's barely figuring out how to be a Starfleet officer. Now he's got to be a dad.
All at the same time.
Now, a lot of you don't remember the backstory for Worf. Worf was adopted by the Rashenkos, this really nice Russian family who, talk about the Russian allegory, who took him in because after the Kittimer massacre, he was the only person who survived, and so they raised him. Now, they did their best as human parents to make sure he had Klingon influences if needed, and they learned the music and the whole bit. And his mother's amazing in the episodes that she's in. His father's is really good. And so now he's got to somehow figure out how to be Klingon Dad of the Year. And he does not do a good job. Not at all. And so I find that, and it wouldn't, obviously the legacy wouldn't well be about him, but I figure having us revisit that story, I feel like would be amazing. Especially if you take it and you make it very episodic, or you make it part of the conundrum of events, where maybe Worf has to hitch a ride because he's like, I have to go visit blah, 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 this and that. Because he's friends with Raffi now.
Right.
So having Worf go be friends with Raffi, he hitches a ride on the Enterprise. He's like, I have to go home to handle a thing. Whatever, And maybe whether he has to go free his son, rescue his son, just be there for his son, I don't know, whatever. Because last we saw him, Alexander was a Klingon on a Klingon ship, trying to learn what it meant to be Klingon. And it was such a wonderful. It says here, Helena Rashenko was literally sweet. Totally. Thank you. Opinions no one cares about. Thank you so much for commenting. I love him. I love you, sir. You're one of the best. And yeah, man, she's amazing. And so again, I love the concept of Worf being able to see what he looks like, especially if, dude, watch Terry Matalas drop grandkids on us, and now we have to see how Worf. We think we know Worf from Picard season 3. Like we come to terms with his newfound outlook on life, and he's like, I have it all figured out now. And then it's like, here's grandkids. Bro, I'm in. I'm so in.
That's awesome.
I'm so in. So, yeah. What do you think of that idea?
Oh, I'm not familiar. I gotta remember. I'm not familiar with that part. With that part of. Look, you and I, you've gotten me so much into Star Trek that I have to go back to like watch all these things that he's talking about. So this is now obviously on the list. So
absolutely is.
But I look forward to it. Like I said, I wouldn't mind a legacy because, I like Picard and I like Strange New Worlds. So why wouldn't I like Legacy now that and then for me as a fan, I get to follow these characters where they're at. Move forward.
Absolutely. No, I agree. 100%. So the next headline we have is, that leads us all the way to the next one, is Universal. Bam. They've hired David Koepp to write new Jurassic World style requel in the series. Much the same way Jurassic World resurrected the Jurassic Park franchise, Koepp is going to be set to do similar with the very next chapter. This story comes from Jeff Snyder, the In Schneider newsletter. Go subscribe to it if you like. If you actually like inside information and inside news from the ground. Jeff Snyder's got no platform whatsoever other than himself. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I watched the guy on Collider. I followed him across many periodicals. This guy, he don't need a platform. He's a platform unto himself. The man's amazing, seriously. So when I read the story, I was like, okay. And it's being filtered via the original THR story. So I have a quote from the THR story, which basically it's unclear kind of what form the relaunch is going to take, but it's known to be launching a new Jurassic era. Per sources with the all-new storyline that would seem to rule out the return of characters played by Jurassic World stars Christopher Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, and it seems characters featured in the original Jurassic Park movies as well are also potentially not going to be coming back either. I'm down, fine, sure. So 2 points of concern of mine. Yes, very excited. David Koepp, honestly, wrote the original Jurassic Park, and that movie is amazing. He's got a not so lackluster IMDb after that of some floppy type movies. Maybe good, maybe bad. Kind of take them, love them, whatever, love them, hate them. Yeah. I don't want to say flops. I would say floppy. Because they're movies that were like, it could have been better, whatever. Go check out his IMDb yourselves. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Still, Jeff Snyder, it's really great in the newsletter that he publishes. One of the first things he said was, he's like, I'm sure that Universal, when they noticed 65 Million came out and then a bunch of other different movies that are all based on dinosaur things are coming out, that they were like,
jump on the bandwagon.
They collectively felt the other studios stepping on their giant dino tail and decided to work on fixing that. And so, yeah. I thought that was brilliant. And so, and of course it's the Jurassic films.
I mean,
to me, the run has literally been, the first one in the series is great. The second one is usually good, serviceable as a sequel, and the third one normally tanks. Jurassic Park 3, I thought was the worst. The last Jurassic World movie wasn't great, but it didn't suck. It just sort of was like, it's the floppy. It was floppy.
It wasn't horrible.
No, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't horrible at all. So I have a firm belief that no matter what they do to reboot the series, which by the way, I don't know if it's is it too soon? Maybe? I don't know. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts on whether or not you think the Jurassic Park movies or the Jurassic World or universe needs.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be the title.
What?
Jurassic Universe.
Right? We've gone from the park to the world to the whatever. Well, remember, originally Park was supposed to be a theme park. World was supposed to be akin to Disney World. So what does the next evolution of that look like? Like, seriously, what do you do? So it's funny, just to kind of talk about this for a second. I always wanted Jurassic World to give us a sequel movie that was. Did any of you see the short film? There was a short it was like the Battle of something or other part. It was literally an RV park that's not far from where the dinosaurs escaped from. And so
I did see it.
Right?
I did see it.
That was really good.
Give me something like that.
I would be down for if you were to say, okay, now we're not long since that movie. Those characters aren't here. But what we're going to do is explore how the world deals with the fact that, oh, hey, Mom, there's an ankylosaur eating out of the garbage can or something, okay?
Give me a Jurassic Park movie that shows everyday life in a city, in like not even a suburb, because we get to see the big open areas, but we don't get to see what happens to everyday people when, I don't know, a T-Rex is running towards you because it can. Sorry.
Sure, no.
Or, I'm sorry, the Brontosaurus is chewing on the vines that are attached to the electrical, but like things like that. Like, how give me some creativity that does that nonsense.
Right. I remember, so if you watched recently Monarch.
Yeah. In
Monarch, there's this entire, the first episode focuses a lot on this one character. She's in Japan. And Japan, as she arrives, and people are going through with spray things, and the way someone described it was, it is a 9/12 movie. It's a 9/12 show. What does life look like after the thing? Give me the 9/12 version of a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movie. Show me what does the TSA look like? What does animal control look like? Because clearly they're gonna need a bigger budget. Okay.
I swear you were gonna say bigger boat.
That I was kind of trying to infer that, but like seriously, that's the idea. You show me that, show me a world where now you have to go, okay, where TV commercials are. You too can get dino repellent. This dino off. Okay, they don't like the whatever Asaurus doesn't like the scent, so they'll stay away from you. That kind of thing, or like buy Tyrannosaurus urine and this spray, and it acts as a repellent, and it's the new pepper spray or whatever. I don't know. My point is like, show me that universe. I'd be interested in seeing ancillary stuff. Everyone wants to do like the big, now mind you, there's a lot of people who are like, whatever, man, you show me dinosaurs eating people and I'm happy. I don't know. I want to see a little bit more of the world. I want to see a little more of the world. Yeah. I feel like the world building they've done has been in a weird direction. I don't need a clone girl anymore, or cloning, and the terrors of cloning. Gone. Okay, we don't need that anymore. We live in an AI world at this point. Cloning is literally the last thing we're worried about right now. So that's my thought. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. No, for sure. So next, the Harry Potter television series is moving closer to fruition. I don't know who asked for it, but Deadline reports we hear the first round of pitch meetings have been happening in Los Angeles this week, and sources said the top choices will go to the next round in the UK. So, before we go too much deeper than that, it's really unclear how involved, other than J.K. Rowling gets final approval on those things. Mm-hmm. This is not a referendum on J.K. Rowling. I don't want to get into all that. By all means, comment if you want to, but I'm not really going to comment much myself about her one way or another, because it's her contract she signed, man. You can't do anything about it. Everyone's like, why is she involved? Why do this or that? There's so many other things. Look.
It's a contract.
Look. The video game, everybody swore it wasn't going to do that, and the video game was huge. You just got to, Warner's not going to let this IP die. Mm-mm. They're not. They have too much invested in it. And so I feel like so what would the series be? Like, seriously. A lot of people have speculated that the series should be essentially a more in-depth version of what the movies were, which I'm down for if you're going to go straight adaptation. Because there were things they changed for brevity's sake in the movies to eventually get to where they got. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you go that route and you say, okay, we're going to actually take the story and try and do it. And season 1 is book 1. Season 2 will be book 2. And you take however many episodes and the time.
I would do that.
Right. Why not?
I've only seen, oh gosh, you guys are going to hate me. I've never been a Harry Potter fan. It wasn't my thing.
No,
I did
on.
try about 3 movies. I did. I could do that.
Right. What's funny is I feel like this is going to herald in the YA novel series. Remember how Harry Potter movies introduced YA movies? I firmly believe that if they do this or pull this off, you're going to start seeing YA novels turned into series. Where it's like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. Like, I'm waiting for someone to announce the Twilight series as a show and just start again from the beginning, because everyone's feeling is, well, maybe it didn't work in movies, but it could be great in a series. And you're like, oh, bro, whatever, man. Anyway, so comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the idea of a series. Heck, let me know your pitches. What are your pitches for what the series
What they
could
should
be?
do.
No snarky, mean responses either, guys. Okay. No, but seriously, creatively speaking, I think it could be, I think it could be totally something that could happen, and could be effort and could work well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could if you do it right.
What's our rule? We always give a show
3 episodes.
3 episodes. I mean,
Better make it good in 3 episodes, otherwise it's it. All right, on to the next thing. Okay, so the next story we've got is a fairly interesting one that I didn't see coming until we were doing the run of this show. I thought it was super interesting.
Yeah, I'm very interested.
Apparently, John Boyega is going to executive produce a Book of Eli prequel series. He's not only is he executive producing, he's gonna star in. If you remember, the 2010 movie, The Book of Eli, starring Denzel Washington. Spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. But it's a post-apocalyptic world in which this one individual goes through sort of Equalizer style, which I find funny because he's Denzel Washington. Sort of righting wrongs, but he's trying to protect this book. You find out in the movie the book is the Bible, but really, and you also find out he personally, he's Muslim. What he's protecting is the ideas. What he's protecting is the spiritual centeredness of this whole thing, and it's beautiful in concept. And when you get to the end of it, but then the surprise happens. He's blind. I would love.
I don't want to, because I really want people to see the movie before.
Well, damn! I apologize. Ignore everything I just said.
No, that's not what I meant.
I'm kidding.
But he's at the end. Oh, it's okay though. At the end of the book, or at the end of the movie, rather, he finally gets there, and it's this warehouse that has now been able to print. There's obviously the story.
They've recovered a printing press.
All that stuff.
The thing is,
books are like banned, like beyond.
The book he had, yes, it was the Bible, but it was a braille version of the Bible. He'd committed the entire thing to memory. So before he passed away, he dictates the entire thing to these folks, and so that they can have a copy of it. So along other,
because they're rebuilding a library. We're
rebuilding societies like our history, our whatever. It really is a wonderful story. And there are people who want to lean on just that's the Bible, and yes, that's a great part of it. But it's more about the thoughts. It's about the importance of writing and books, and there are people who want to ban books and burn books and whatever else. And here's the thing. I'm a true believer in freedom of speech, which means sometimes you have to accept that hate speech sometimes is part of that. I don't like it, and I believe in the actual area of ideas. Mm-hmm. You have to have the bad ones so that you know which ones you don't want to go down.
Right.
Just because you tell me, "Nah, don't go down that way, it's bad," I'm never going to believe you.
Man, I was one of those kids growing up.
But let me read the thing and sit here and go, "This is not good. This is horrible." Okay, here's the thing, and I'll say, and this is going to get me a little bit off kilter. I read a long time ago. I read Hitler's Mein Kampf. I read it. I understand why he sucked. Why he was a horrible person. Because when you read the ideas in there, you sit here and go, "Oh well, of course. Don't do this. This is what you don't do." And I'm a firm believer. You have to understand what you don't do, but you don't want to hide those things. You sit here and say, "Okay, here's the thing. Look how crazy that is. That's insanity." And I feel like that's what this movie was really about. If the series can even remotely capture those ideas, and how
since it's a prequel, how it got to that point.
Oh, I guarantee you, any good prequel will give you flashbacks. Will give you how he got there. Was he always blind? Was that a new thing? If he was blind
because of all the wars, and
everything. Yeah. And I think that you can go. To me, it has a much more interesting story to tell than, say, the likes of The Walking Dead. And I loved The Walking Dead. Yeah. But I feel like you could do a Book of Eli prequel series and really get a lot of mileage out of some awesome storytelling. Mm-hmm. So, all right.
Because that's good storytelling.
It is. No, good storytelling is definitely absolutely short supply these days. All right. So, the final headlines. I'm going to combine 2 headlines in one. It recently came out that Sofia Coppola revealed that Apple had pulled the plug on her planned adaptation of Edith Wharton's novel, The Custom of the Country, which she had been developing as a 5-episode series, despite casting budding movie star Florence Pugh as protagonist. And then hot on the heels of that, we get the news that Netflix is pulling the plug on, or has pulled the plug on Halle Berry's sci-fi movie, The Mothership. Both those stories, by the way, come from Jeff Snyder, also the Insider. Again, that awesome newsletter, you need to read it. But it's such an, so right now, the entire narrative is that, well, here, I'll read Jeff Snyder's really great, what he had to say. This comes from Jeff Snyder's The Insider newsletter. Coppola said that Apple pulled our funding. It's a real drag. I thought they had endless resources. And yes, Sofia, they do, but that doesn't mean they should just light $200 million on fire to bring your vision to life. There's no way in the world that such a series would garner enough viewers to justify such an investment. Now, I'm not sitting here defending the $300 million spent on Masters of the Air either, but anyone using that argument, the boys got to spend big bucks on their manly war show, but they won't give Sofia Coppola enough money to make 5 Marie Antoinettes is certifiably insane. That quote comes from Jeff Snyder, by the way, not me. I don't know that I don't know that male or female has anything to do with it. I think he's absolutely got hit on the head, which is when you originally greenlit the thing, both of these by the way have the same story, which is you greenlit it, you started production, and then the budgets began to get bigger. So both of these streaming services, Apple TV Plus and Netflix, they're looking at genuine budget issues and budget concerns. Where people used to be like, Netflix is just throwing money at stuff. We're getting into a season where streamers are wiser than they've ever been.
Netflix has come around a bit on that.
Absolutely. But also the quality of what they're doing has. Now, mind you, they have other issues. Trust me, like they're raising their rates, and right now the streaming services are this close to raising their prices to get me they're pricing themselves out of the market for me. Yeah. But that hasn't happened yet, but it's real close to happening. And so, I'm starting to look more at those bundled things like Amazon's doing, where you can get your Showtime or whoever, whatever. So, but at the same time, I would like to beg the question, it should have dropped on my YouTube channel. There's a question under the posts. Do you believe, and I want you to answer this question for me, do you believe that studios, the investors, the people who fund, who have made this possible for artists to make their art, but they took all the risk, do they have the right to then, for a tax purpose, as like in the case of Warner Brothers and like Batgirl, Batwoman, whatever, whoever the show was, to now this, do they have the right to stop that from going out there? This is not a question about artist rights. The artist is losing nothing other than obviously their art being out there, and I'm not trying to demean that, but Sofia Coppola got paid, Halle Berry got paid. These people they have their function, their form and function of the job, because at the end of the day you do a job. Okay, it's literally like Michael Douglas once said. Michael Douglas, what do you do if you get a script this and that? He goes, if you hire me, I'm going to do a job. It's work. This is still work. Okay, now. All that being said, I too am an artist. I'm a filmmaker, I'm a creator, I'm an artist. But at the same time, you have to understand there is a business side. The business side is what affords you to sit around and talk trash and be upset and whatever. Okay, if you don't respect the business side and what that means, first off, Sofia, was your movie or series rather, was it getting up there in budget? According to reports, Halle Berry's Netflix movie was looking to have to go back into reshoots. They started filming this in 2021. The kids who play her children in the movie are already
3 years old.
Older.
Yeah, you can't reshoot.
Not to mention everything's just getting so much more expensive for these things. So to me, this is my opinion, and I want to hear yours. To me, bro, this is a wake-up call. If you can't make your art for the price that makes sense, the sky can't be the limit. There's a lot of directors out there who've even said they made their best stuff on limited budgets. Budgets breed creativity. Having unlimited resources, as Sofia Coppola is so quick to want to throw around all willy-nilly, sounds great. But you can't just. What are you thinking? Just sitting there like, it's all good. It's Apple. They got money to spend. They're not going to give you all $400 billion of the dollars that they have just to make your pet project. Yeah. Let's be real. They're busy making Monarch and other things like that, and big shows out there.
Which they know work.
The Ted Lassos and the morning shows of the thing. Okay, you can't. So if you're gonna come in there, so everybody who's up in arms talking about getting our Senate oversight committees and blah blah, force Hollywood to show us the movies. Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? Okay, not to mention the fact there's tons of movies out there where people didn't get to see the final product. There really are. There's an entire series that you know nothing about. Mel Brooks made an entire show you don't know anything about. Why? Because if he didn't do it, if the studio didn't let him do it, they would have lost the rights. Mm-hmm. So they made a show. Literally, there's a story out there about a sequel series to. I want to say it was. What you call it was Blazing Saddles. Mm-hmm. There's a sequel series to Blazing Saddles that we'll never see. So all I'm saying is, it's just what are your thoughts? Okay, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. There you go. Now you know. If knowing's half the battle, you have to know it all yourself. These have been the headlines here on the Know It All News. All right, next we're gonna shoot through these real quick. What are some new things to watch?
Well,
this is Know It All. Walk me through some of these.
Let's start with I can see one of your favorites is on here right away, and that's Invincible. Season 2, Part 2 debuts on March 14th on Prime Video.
It's coming back.
And I know you're excited for that.
Super excited. We've been reviewing it. I've reviewed the first part here, so if you can go on the channel, take a look at the review for it. I wonder what's taking them so long to make these. I'm assuming it's because animation takes longer. And
I'm going to go with that, yeah.
Right, and I know that Steven Yeun is right now, he's the flavor of the month. And that guy's he's doing a lot of great stuff.
He's busy.
If you saw Beef, you know what he's doing.
The other thing coming back is Clone High.
Oh my goodness, I cannot wait.
Okay, so wait. It's actually
Technically season 3?
Yeah. If you watched Clone High when it came back, when it originally aired when?
I think it was either 90
something.
Late 90s or maybe the very early 2000s. Like it was 99 or 2000. It's like right there.
It's like right there, okay? And it was one season on like MTV.
MTV?
On MTV, okay?
Yeah, and it was done by Lord Miller.
And I knew nothing of this until I met him. So then when we heard that Clone High was gonna get, I don't want to say rebooted. It wasn't rebooted. It was continued from where it left off.
He totally continued it.
Which I thought was really cool because it's been shut down for 20-something years.
And they addressed it in the show.
Oh yeah.
So
they're opening.
You'll see it.
So when we left we didn't know if we were going to get a season 2.
Yeah.
We do have a season 2, and it's coming out on Max on February 1st.
Oh my God! Real quick.
Oh wait,
I didn't catch that part.
There's more.
Okay.
We're really busy in February.
Oh my gosh, so busy.
Because there's a lot of television coming out, and the other one is on February 8th is Halo. That's coming back.
Halo season
2.
Halo the series season 2 takes place in the Halo Silver universe. Don't know how you feel about Halo, but here's the real part 2. I love you. Anyways, but I don't know if you know all about the different stuff Halo's gone through. Like right now, they're in a wrestling match. I'd be shocked if they got a season 3 because they've really been giving the fans the middle finger. We can talk more about that later.
When it comes back.
Thing. Yeah.
So and then 2 new things coming out that we were actually
super
really
excited.
Interested in. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the series, is going to be on Prime Video starting February 2nd.
Be looking for that. We're going to be reviewing that specifically. Baby Know It All.
Yes.
She's so hardcore about watching this, and I am fascinated by that alone. But she's got a strong, she's got a full head of steam about watching this. So she's gonna be she'll be heading up that review, and I may or may not jump in and help once in a while, but for the most part, that's gonna be hers to review. And I'm excited to see it because we love the movie, but this is a very different tone.
Yeah, and I like the way it's being set
too.
up. Go watch the trailers too,
for sure.
Hopefully you'll get interested. And the other thing that really took us by surprise that I didn't even know existed was Constellation.
Bro.
That's coming it's on Apple TV, and that's starting on the 21st of February.
I just watched the trailer. So good.
I don't.
It looks so good.
I don't know what to think.
It has season 2 Fringe vibes, because you get this idea that there's clearly either a parallel universe. The main actress has come from another. Which, by the way, she's the actress who played in Whatever Happened to Monday. Whatever Happened to Monday was that Netflix series that had a family of these girl clone assassins, and they're all sisters. And she plays all these multiple versions of this type of character. So this feels like her jam, because it feels like she's playing the same woman who jumps between two universes. It's two clear universes, and like by the
that
quarter,
we know from just the previews. We just we're assuming at this point.
It looks good. It looks good. It's classic sci-fi on a level I hadn't expected.
You called it like fringy vibes, like from Fringe.
Yeah.
I see it. It kind of gave me that sense of, oh my gosh, she's got to figure out what happens, and how to like survive what's kind of going on while getting answers. It reminded me a lot of Lost, actually.
Okay, I could see that.
We know there was a plane crash.
Sure.
This takes, obviously, in space is when all this crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
And so I feel like something, whether it be an accident of some sort, and that she's got to piece all this together, and she's not getting the answers.
Right. Okay. So those are all the things to watch. Hopefully you're watching them yourselves. Love to hear yourself. Comment below. Let me know what you think of all the new stuff to watch. Are you excited about any of them? Are you want to see? Is there stuff you want us to be checking out so we can maybe possibly review it or even talk about it here on the show? Let me know. Comment below. We'll talk about it soon. But to end the show, we're going to end the show on a very important note. There's a new thing coming out. Just announced. And this nice lady here has a full head of steam about it. And I'm literally going to hand the show over to her for this. Specifically, we're talking about the remake that's in the works of It's a Wonderful Life.
So look, I don't have a problem with people using IP. I really don't, okay? It's a Wonderful Life is I feel like a very sacred movie for Christmas, okay? The movie is about what would happen to everybody else around you that you know and love if you never existed. I want that to be the case. If it is about someone that never existed, and you can show me what Clarence the Angel was able to show Bailey, please, that's the movie I'm looking for if you're going to reboot this, okay? I get it's modern time, and that's okay. There's plenty of nonsense from the time that movie came out till today. There is enough nonsense in the world where, you can easily do something. It's about the pebble making the ripple.
That's
and
great.
I really want this to be that. I will see it, but I really want it to be this. My only problem I have with this is everyone tends to put a race card on something. And I have a problem with that.
Sure.
I don't have a problem with race. I just want it to be done with love.
So I feel like for me the biggest issue you find with this whole I find with this whole concept is a lot of what you said is true. Every article, every story I've seen that is talking about it wants to lean on the director talking about it's going to be diverse, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, it's going to be the other, and I'm like, I'm hearing an awful lot of things, but I'm not hearing how you're going to approach the story. And by that I mean the story at its core, like you said, is about a person who is no longer in the picture for whatever reason. And it goes back to, if you watch the original one.
Right.
The original one is about this one character who believes that he just wants to, I just want to go, I gotta go. But his destiny is to be here. And the longer he's here, the more influential he has on people's lives around him. To the point that when stuff starts bad happening, that's out of his control and spiraling, whatever, he's like, he makes the irresponsible way. He's like, man, I'm thinking about, I wish if I knew everybody lives better without me. I should never, he wants to commit suicide. He wants to jump off and die. Mm-hmm. And then you get to see, like you said, the ripple from the pebble. You get to see what life looks like without him. And it starts with the guy whose life he saved as a child because he stopped the pharmacist from accidentally killing him, which in turn spirals into this whole thing and this and this and this and this. and because he's not, though he works at the savings and loan, which is essentially like a modern day credit union, or back in the day, he's not affluent.
No.
He's middle class at best. Okay, and the movie there were so many pieces to this movie that I feel like people. Tell me what you're going to do to make the story, because don't just tell me you're updating it. Because here's the thing: we've seen updated.
We've seen tons of updated. Versions.
There was that one with Nicolas Cage. I want to say the Marrying
Family
Man.
Man.
Thank you. The Family. I always want to say the Marrying Man. The Family Man, where Nicolas Cage, but they flopped it. He's this rich, horrible guy who suddenly it's almost like Scrooge and Wonderful Life combined. And you get this really interesting, but you get the story where you're like, okay, this is going to be how you get to that place, and it's a wonderful storytelling thing, and you get to see where he realizes through not having been there and how his lack of being there, that's the life he really wanted, not the one he ended up with.
Right.
Okay. Now, and so then you go into this idea that the same people were talking about redoing redoing the Wizard of Oz. And made the argument, this story needs to be told from this and that context. And I'm like, we did The Wiz.
Yeah.
What was wrong with Michael Jackson's The Wiz with all that? That was beautiful. I loved that. As far as most of the black folks I know loved that. Okay, so to sit here and behave like, all I know is this: there's a reason few people have many people have touched the concept, like with the Family Man.
Yeah.
But they've never talked about remaking, because like you said, I think what you said is true. It's sacred. Why is it sacred? It's not sacred because of all that piece. Okay, you know what you could do? Sorry, ADD brain. You could easily, if you wanted to go near the IP, there's other characters. Go the hee-haw guy, his friend, who's Sam, who's all affluent and rich and everything else, and who helps him.
Yeah.
Go show his maybe afterwards, after Clarence gets his wings or whatever, he decides he wants to do something and say, and he follows Dude, and Dude ends up deciding maybe his life goes bad, maybe it's close to something, whatever happening. Okay, my point is, but like the movie is so it does so many wonderful things perfectly. The thing is, people don't understand classics are classics not because they exist in our sacred cows, but because they did what they did perfect. How do you do it perfect again? And too many people take the very self-centered, I can just make it better because it's modern. Modern does not mean better. How are you going to make the story any better than you did?
Which is what my point is I'm trying to make. When the story originally takes place, it's World War II happens.
Yeah.
George Bailey becomes this person. His brother Harry is a huge fighter pilot. Just this that era, which is why I said what I said. From there to now, they could definitely do a story like that.
Well, and
there's
you could
plenty.
easily. And the thing is,
but
go ahead.
It's also during a time where there weren't also a lot of options for middle class people at that time either.
No, absolutely. And the thing is, so here's the thing. It talks about, so let's look at this. How do you take the story? Because the thing is, if you're going to make it about a small family, make it about this, make it about that, who are you going to make it about? Are you just going to straight up take the concept and the story and drop it in? But then what does that fit in today's world? How does that concept fit in today's world?
That's what I want.
And,
My
but the
problem
thing
is
is,
how it's being advertised and published and talked about.
They're promoting it through all the wrong reason, all the wrong ways.
I guess what I'm trying to say.
I'm with you.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Take the story and make it beautiful. We talked about how the concept of with Crazy Young Asians. We've seen that story.
Right.
Culturally, we have seen that story, and it's awesome.
But so when you take this is one of those things where how do you take that same story? The characters don't matter. That's my problem. They're making it about the character. They're making it about either the color of the skin of the character or the socioeconomic place of the character or whatever, or even the time period that they were in. And they're making it about that and less about, here's the thing, those elements don't matter.
Right.
What matters is this is a story about a guy who goes through life and doesn't blah, 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 all these pieces. Like you can't, how do you make that work in a modern context without losing something. If all you're worried about is the color of the person who plays George, or the city this thing takes place in, or the time period the story takes place in, or the whatever class, economic, whatever.
Exactly. That's what when I said it's not. It doesn't need to be about race, because it doesn't, and I feel like it's being advertised and marketed wrong.
I agree. Oh, I agree. And because I'm sorry, that's like people who are like, Captain Burnham, the first black captain on Star Trek. You might be like, those of us who are Star Trek fans, no, that's not true. There've been many. What are you talking? Okay, the first LGBTQ representation is on Star Trek, and those of us who watch The Next Generation are like, no,
we did that already.
That's not true. I can show you a trans story from Next Gen. I can show you this story. That's
one thing I have learned to love about Star Trek.
Don't be wrong. There's more proliferate. They're less. It's less something you're doing because the culture needs to see it, and much more about the storytelling because culture is there now. So I do understand the difference, like how Discovery's evolved and all these things. So same thing. I understand there's a place and a way to do that, but there's a reason why. Notice. Every iteration of A Christmas Carol goes back to the core. It goes back to an old rich white guy in London. Okay, even Scrooged, which was an attempt at a modernization, had the framing of the original Christmas Carol story
in the movie.
Right. So again, understand and maybe that's the approach you take. Maybe you have somebody who's watching the thing who's like, this is stupid, I don't identify with this, but at the same time is like, I don't know, nobody would care if I was gone from my life, blah, 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 blah. And now you go into this, maybe that's how you dovetail into it. You do almost like a meta lamp shading back and forth. I could get behind something like that. Okay, because how else do you do it? Because the story is so timeless. Yeah. Same, and I go back to the Scrooged analogy, Anyways, I would love to hear your comments and thoughts. What do you think about It's a Wonderful Life being remade? Is it necessary? Do we need it? Is it the kind of thing where is it who asked for it? But then again, who asked for any movie? So I would absolutely love to talk more about this. I cannot wait to talk to you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining us. I cannot wait. We'll see you again very, very soon. Never forget,
everyone